So the plan today is slightly different from what I said I would do, but don't worry, it's just more, I think, inclusive. I'm going to present my project, describe it a bit, give you some numbers, also a progress report, a kind of progress report card, because we haven't, we've been working only for a couple of months now. And then after that, I'll deal with paratextual material. Initially, I thought I would only show colophons to you, but maybe I will also show you a couple of invocations, something that's in one of the margins and all that. If I start rambling at some point, right at the bottom of Zoom, you have the reactions button. Just send me a yawn emoji and I'll cut short the presentation. Of course, this project is super interesting for me. That's no reason to bore other people. Right, so I think everybody knows the British Library Endangered Archives Program, the EAP, but just in case you don't, I've given you the address, the web link. The Endangered Archives Program is supported by ἀCΑΡYA, which is a charity organization in the UK that funds preservation programs, I think, all over the world. And the BL facilitates the preservation work of anything that is related with the scholarly world. I think it's manuscripts, early prints, audio recordings, and that sort of thing. And they started in 2004, and they've achieved quite a bit. So I received their pilot grant. So it's called, boringly, Safeguarding for Posterity, 2 private collections of palm leaf manuscripts from the Tamil country, which I'll talk to you more about in a minute or two. And there is a website. I mean, we have a page in their website. Nothing much now, only the description of the project. So I received slightly less than £10,000. For this project that will last about 10 months. We began in August, so it will go on presumably till May 2022. And the aim is to clean, digitize, and catalog manuscripts from 2 different collections that I'll talk to you about in a minute. And the work is taking place at the FAO, so you can see the photo there. I'm sure everybody here can recognize the FAO. And there are 3 permanent, quote unquote, staff members. And the cataloger as well, there was supposed to be somebody who was a permanent member, but we ended up having to get freelance catalogers. I'll tell you more about it as well. And in case I forget, just ask me during the Q&A session. Okay, so it all began with Professor Vivi, who's here. So I have him to thank first and foremost. A couple of years ago, he emailed me. He said that he had a collection of Sri Vaishnava manuscripts, mostly in Grantha. And he said that he wanted to give the collection to me so that I can do something out of it. And I think he received it himself 40 years ago in 1981. And I think this collection, comes from a village near KALLITAIKUBICCI. That's why I gave this collection this name. And a friend of his called him to say that at the death of Sri Vaishnava ＡHOBILA, his family threw away the collection in the street. So his friend sent him via lorry, and he even gave me the price that he paid for the courier charges. I can't remember the sum that he paid, but anyway, he's had this collection since 1981. He thought it would be Tamil, but it was Grantha. And he's been trying to offer it to many institutions, and they all politely refused it. And then one day he sent a message to me and he said, well, look, I have 30 bundles. Are you interested? No, he didn't say, are you interested? He said, no, I'm giving them to you. And then actually it's not 130 bundles. There were 108 bundles. Yes, exactly 108. At some point there was 107, and a few months later he gave me 1. So what more auspicious than that? So I have to thank him for this. So he hoped that I would make something out of this collection, and that's how I applied for this project and got it. So hopefully after 40 years, this collection will see the light of the day. The second collection, we've named it the William Barkham collection. Sorry to put my own picture on it, but I didn't find a better one of this person, because the owner is William Barkham C. Govindarajan, whom you can see on this photo, and his wife. They brought the collection to me. He was my Sanskrit teacher decades ago. And when he was in Pondicherry, he just traveled around and collected manuscripts from different sources. So that's why initially I thought I would only speak of the first collection because it's more homogeneous. But there are very interesting things that I found in the second collection in this one. That's why I've also included this. There are 74 manuscripts plus, I mean, you can see them right at the back in the cupboard. And you can also possibly also see that plastic bag, which has, loose leaves, like a whole bag of loose leaves. Haven't started working on them yet. Initially, I thought there would be more Tamil, but the more I work on it, the more I realize that there's a lot of Grantha. Perhaps with just as much Tamil, but there is a lot of Grantha. But so far as we've seen many Tamil manuscripts. There are, especially the Tamil manuscripts deal with, medicinal tips, medical tips, Jyotisha and mantra to attract this and that sort of thing. So it made me wonder whether it's not as erudite as the other one, but I can't really judge as yet because none of us have actually gone through the whole collection yet. I have an idea with the other because I've had it for more than 3 years, but this collection, I got it on day 1 of work, meaning on the 2nd of August. So we'll know more about this, and it's very, very exciting not to know anything at all for the moment. So the project is threefold: cleaning, cataloging, cleaning, cataloging, whichever order usually, well, whatever, and digitizing. So for the cleaning, we have Murugesan, whom you can see here. He sent me this picture here. I told them about this presentation, so they all sent me pictures till the last minute. So when Manu was talking, I was changing the photos because they got so excited about this presentation. So he cleans and oils with, as you all know, lemongrass oil. And sometimes when necessary, he also inks. And here you can see him inking the manuscript. So something that was like this, after inking looks like this. But you all know about this, no need to get into the details. And then the digitizing process, we realized that there was enough budget to hire 2 people for digitizing, which is wonderful because that's twice as much work that will be accomplished. And the BL has also agreed to allow us to photograph 2 leaves, the recto and the verso, the verso and the recto of the next, which means that we can produce more in just as much time. So we have here Venkatrajan and Ramesh. So Venkatrajan, for those who know Ramu from VFU, that's his son, and Ramesh is another digitizer that we have. And these 2 have been trained by Ramesh Kumar here, who's a professional photographer, and he has worked in 12 different BL projects. So he's a veteran, he really knows his stuff. So he's cut short so many months of work, and even the contact point I have at the BL knows him personally. So he's a boon that we've had, and he's still checking the quality every week. So he's guiding us throughout this project because unless and until we have the right quality, it may not be approved by the BL. Okay, that's a picture that they sent me today. So, so that you see, I think he is finishing digitizing a copy of the Bala Manorama, the Vyakarana work. There you go. Right, the next is cataloging, as you know. This, I need to fill an Excel sheet provided to me by the BL. It's a personalized Excel sheet. If you want to know more, I can show you the Excel sheet later on. I just have a screenshot here. Actually the BL is more interested in, I will show you. It's not interested in for example, in the colophons, the beginning of the text, the end of the text, the marginalia, and that sort of thing. The metadata that they ask is very, very practical, something to go with the images. So because their intention is to preserve artifacts. We tried many catalogers. We've had challenges because there were many challenges. If you want to know more about, you can ask me questions later on. Currently, we have Saravanan, who's taking care of the Tamil manuscripts, but there aren't many. For the Sanskrit one, there is Akane, but Akane is super busy. And then very soon, hopefully, we have Pratik Murali joining us. That's a young student from Chennai. He can read Grantha. He's already cataloged one. That's good work, but he'll take time because I need to train him. But yeah, so, but these people do not fill in the Excel sheet directly. So I have prepared a worksheet based along with Sharma sir and also Giovanni, so that it's easier to use. This is roughly 4 pages, but they don't have to fill all 4 pages. I'll show you. Because all that you see from the beginning till the minute where you find, you know, here extra in this here, it's actually what the BL wants. The extra bit is what I want. What the BL want is simply to know what, like, if it's a bundle, if it's single, okay, they use the term file for a bundle, and file also, even if there's just one work, you still use the word file, and then items for a multiple text manuscript for each individual work. And then the shelf mark, the title, if we can, in Grantha. Unfortunately, it's not coming out nicely for the Grantha. So they've told me that they want the information, but they won't be able to use it for the moment because, well, Grantha is a problem. Type of manuscript, subject matter, you know, size, condition, and then authority terms. It's usually like I have filled much here already because country of origin, related countries, region, that's Tamil Nadu. So it's either KALLITAIKUBICCI or not known, or anybody, like the cataloger can add any place. And belief system, well, either it's Hinduism or it's nothing, because there's nothing more than that. And so on and so forth. Dates, if there are any dates, so there are some options here. Provenance. This usually it is the custodial history, it's for the whole collection. So we don't have to do it for every manuscript. The author or creator of the original material, that's the author of whatever work. The scribe, if we find the name. And many things I just put not applicable because it's not published material, publisher, editor, volume number, issue number, etc. So it's actually pretty fast. The language, they have to pick the language or the script. I don't think there's Devanagari. I only think there is Tamil and Grantha. Left to right, okay, that's pre-picked. Also access condition, it's always the same. For us, for this collection, it's unrestricted. Copyright information, there's no issues. Data protection, there's no issue. There's nothing like sensitive, personal. And information about the digital copies. That's what they need, really. And then promotion, if there's anything interesting for their social media, blogs, etc. So this can go really fast, especially if it's not a multiple text manuscript. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which side you are, there are plenty of multiple text manuscripts. And then this extra bit is because for scholars, this is not really usable and we really need some more information. So I've done this, as I said, consulting a few colleagues and also based on the sheets that I've used in Hamburg and at the FAO here. So that's like, you know, lines per folio, foliation, some extra comments, and then especially the invocation. Okay, I've lumped it together, but I've asked them to give these separately, invocations, marginal, colophons, etc. So this, once I get the information, I immediately update my Excel sheet. Okay, before I move on, I have to say that the colleagues at the FAO are super supportive. They're all interested. So even if they're just passing, they always have tips to give, suggestions, or a word to the digitizer, like do this carefully, okay? And there have been many challenges, more challenges than one would expect in a 2-month-old project, or maybe it's because the beginning, I don't know. But SAS Sharma and Prerna have stood like pillars of strength because there have been like really big problems. But we have survived them so far and we are progressing. And people just pop in to have a chat, to have a look at the manuscripts, etc. So it's very nice. Okay, so this is a kind of progress report because it's only been in a couple of hours, I think. Yes, we will have finished 11 weeks of work. As I said, we began at the beginning of August. So we have cleaned and oiled approximately 40-ish manuscripts so far out of 182 manuscripts with both collections put together. That's roughly 22%. The percentage is just for the people who have their minds tuned towards numbers. Anyway, we have digitized approximately 38 of them. That's roughly 18% of the collection. Actually, we have promised the BL about, I think, 30, maximum to 40% of the whole collection. So at the end of less than 2.5 months, we have reached 18%. There are issues there, but I'll let you know later. So here I have broken up those numbers. It's mostly even out of those, it's mostly for the moment, 21% of the KK collection and 20 of the VP. Cataloging is sort of has slowed down a bit because we had a cataloger who couldn't continue, and then we tried to find another one who couldn't or wouldn't, and then people are busy. Or there aren't enough Tamil ones. So that's sort of lagging behind a bit. So I try to pitch in from time to time, but we'll get there, I think, eventually. We've managed so far 18% of the whole collection of cataloging. If the worst comes to the worst, it's very easy to make a listing, so long as you don't have to go for the, colophones. That's really to give a fit to people like Giovanni, like, Giovanni, if I don't have the time, I'm not going to focus on colophones. A word to the wise. So, okay, this is broken, the figures are broken up still further, but it's pretty much the same, between 16 to 22%. Okay, you have a bit of details here. So in blue, you have Sanskrit works, in green, Manipravalam and Tamil in violet. Okay, so far, as we have done, I don't know how representative this is, but what we've done so far, the majority are Sanskrit manuscripts. They are in Grantha. I haven't come across a single one in Devanagari, as I said. All sorts of things, Kaveri Mahatmyam, that's Purana, Vedantasaram, etc., that's Vishishtadvaita. Medical tips, that's in Tamil. Astrology and medical tips, that's also in Tamil. Nyaya Parishuddhi, that's Vedanta Deshika, so the Vishishtadvaita. Vedartha Sangraha Moolam, okay, that's also Vishishtadvaita. Paribhashartha Sangraha, we'll come back to this particular manuscript, that's Vyakarana. Mimamsa Paribhasha, that's Mimamsa. Okay, more in Tamil, you have Nundi Nadagam. I'll say a few things about this in a minute also. Miscellanea, it's usually Tamil, maybe a bit of Grantha here and there. Vishayavakya Deepika, I think that's Vyakarana, I think, hopefully. Paduka Sahasram, that's Vaishnava. And then this is also Vaishnava here. Mantra Bhashya, that's I think a commentary on Vedic mantras, but from the Vishishtadvaita perspective. By Darbhi Vasudeyam, I'll say a bit more in a minute about this as well. And then you have all sorts of things. Balaramanurama is Vyakarana. Acharya Champu is hagiographic material, Sri Vaishnava. Ramodantam, Yajurupakarma, Amavasatarpam, all sorts of things. Okay, the VP collection. Okay, this is just not representative because most of this was cataloged by Saravanan, and he's gone for the Tamil ones, and he's probably exhausted the Tamil ones. So so it may look like there's more Tamil than anything else, but that's like really misleading. Most of what we found in Tamil, apparently not very interesting, like mantras and medicinal tips, but there are a couple of things that I need to look into, but I really haven't had the time. Oh dear, I'm just trying to move this thing that is appearing right where it shouldn't. Okay, good. Okay, there's one in Sundarakanda, but here, for example, I need to check what this Yamas and Chitragupta's conversation is. If it's in Tamil, especially if it is Vishishtadvaita, because there is something in Vishishtadvaita and the Sri Vaishnava stories. Is it that, or is it something else? Is it a Natakam? I need to figure that out. One of the miscellanea has the Nundi Nadagam. I will tell you more about it. As you know, it's one of the Sitrilakiyams. Okay, there is this didactic work. I don't think it's a work. It doesn't really have a title, but it gives advice, And very interesting is the Tamil Haradi that we found. It's not complete, but as I said, we haven't been through the whole collection. I'll tell you more about the Sagaradi in a minute. Okay. Right. The exciting thing before I go to the case-by-case thing is there might be a few unpublished works. So for example, Paribhashartha Sangraha by Vaidyanatha, which actually is a summary of Paribhashendu Shekhara by Nagesha Bhatta, Vyakarana work, got some of us like really excited a couple of weeks. Akane, Andrei, and Anjane Sharma, and so I don't know the updates. I don't know who's decided what. Akane thought, as we suggested, that she could edit the work. There are a couple more manuscripts, but it hasn't been published so far as we know. I don't know, but this is still whether we do it or not. It's very exciting. Also, this I checked today because it's called Vaidarbhi Vasudeviya. It seems like it's a play. And as you can see here, sorry for the quality. I mean, these are screenshots. You can see this Vaidarbhi Vasudeviya, okay, Harihi Om and Shubhamastu, I guess this is what we have, and the number and the Pralayasuri. If it's a Nataka, it's about Krishna carrying away Rukmini. Rukmini is known as Vaidarbhi because she's from the Vidarbha country. So yeah, this is a silly photo, but there you go. I checked the new catalogers, Cataloguing. Dominic and Andre suggested that I check it. And Vaidarbhi Vasudeviya, Vaidarbhi Vasudeviyam, none of this have, any entries. So yeah, exciting, don't know. Wish I could find more in Tamil, but well. Right, timeline, projected work, and what's next? As I said, I think we promised about 30 to 40. We might achieve 50 to 60, perhaps more, but I would be very prudent with the numbers because, as you know, there might be pandemic-related issues. The minute there is a lockdown, all work ceases, and we can't even prolong work because obviously, people have their salaries, but work won't be done because they can't go to the office. Especially those who clean and digitize the catalogers. If they have enough copies, scans, they could do it from home. Otherwise, it's a problem. That can slow the work a lot. There could be unpredictable issues, health issues, like for example, if the person who cleans is not there, we can't really digitize manuscripts that aren't cleaned, which means that there will be, a problem. We have also trained the digitizers to clean. Because we were anticipating these issues, so that can slow down. And perhaps the worst is time-consuming errors that need rectifying. If the quality is not good and we need to reshoot, we have been doing that because there were a few errors committed. So just imagine that's what the professional photographer said. Like, imagine your project is over, the British Library says we're not happy with the quality, redo the whole shoot, and the budget is exhausted, so I'll be very prudent about announcing anything fancy. I'll be very happy if we manage 30 to 40% of work done properly by the end of the 10th month. Okay, what next? Well, there might be school visits. The photo you see here, that's the librarian of the Lycée Français de Pondichéry, and she got like so excited. She thought that the whole school can come in batches. From the tiny tots to the terminal students, she said, if we know exactly what to offer them, what activities, etc. So the batches are going to come sooner rather than later. So I think that's exciting. Even if one of them is interested in this sort of thing when they grow up, that will really be a good thing. I don't know, I'm hoping maybe for applying for a bigger project. I can't say anything much because trying to negotiate for another collection. Not sure at all. It may or may not happen next year, but the year after or never. No, I don't know. And something that is very ambitious, as I said, editions. So long as it's in Sanskrit, I'll probably not touch that, but we have plenty of Sanskrit scholars who might be interested in editing unpublished material. Okay, let's move to the next bit. So this is getting into the details. I'm going to show you first the KK collection and the BP ones. A few invocations, marginalia, colophons, drawings, diagrams. I must apologize right at the beginning because I haven't had the time to translate anything in detail. So you won't see translations. I'll just pick out words. I put color coding, not for me more than for the audience. And I'll just mention the important words. And if you, it's very, very likely that the experts who are present here will know much, much more about this paratextual material than I do myself. I'll be very happy to learn from you. Let's begin with invocations. I thought I should begin with Tamil. It's rare, okay? Especially for the KK collection. Much of it is in Grantha, so it's either Manipurvala or Sanskrit, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. This one, for example, has pure Tamil, but then you can say that it's a medical text, you know, so maybe that's why it has a Tamil invocation rather than a Sanskrit one. Not always true. Here, for example, it's Prabandhasaram, which was composed by Vedanta Deshika. So you have, you know, an invocation that's a verse dedicated to Vedanta Deshika, Sirunju Tupul Tiruvengadamudayan. So the Tupul Tiruvengadamudayan, that's Vedanta Deshika's name. And then it also ends with Desigan Tiruvadigalai Saram. Right, so you can also have invocations in Tamil. Perhaps it depends on what work this is an invocation for, because the Prabandhasaram, despite its name, Sanskrit sounding name, is a Tamil work, Tamil verses by Vedanta Deshika. But it's still rare for the KK collection. Okay, I thought I would show this to you. This probably chased away the first cataloger. He thought he wouldn't survive with this sort of manuscripts. It has, like, this is not even the whole manuscript. It's, as you can see, it was a multiple text manuscript, which has more than, I think, 9 works. I've actually written an article for this, for the manuscript culture, I think, for produced by the CSMC. I'm yet to hear from them. But yes, 19 verses for one of the 9 works. So he probably thought it wasn't sustainable work, so he left, among other reasons, I suppose. Anyway, just to show, not all of them, thankfully, have this sort of like invocations. But anyway, the first one is very interesting. It's an invocation to Lakshmindra Simha, as you can see. And this immediately gave us a suggestion to the cataloger, then cataloger and myself. It is a verse composed and used by devotees of the AHOBILA Matham. I'll tell you more about this Matha in a minute, because we'll have to come back to this. So it's something specific. So you look at this, you know, okay, I know what the affiliation is. And there are plenty of others, Vyasaya Vishnave, okay, that's Vyasa. And then plenty of other people. If I just go through, I think, I don't know, I can see Guru or whatever, Ramanuja Sacharanau, that's Ramanuja. So all sorts of Acharyas and Sri Vaishnava approved gods. Okay, sometimes there are invocations that are colophonish. I'm sure there's a term for this, I just don't know. Because I think you call these invocations Srimate Shri Ranganatha Yatindra Mahadeshikaya Namaha. But it's colophonish, as I said, because this allows us to not fix an exact date, but it suggests a good idea of the date. Because this Ranganatha Yatindra Mahadeshika is a title of the Jiyas known as Aragya singers of the AHOBILA Matha. I'll tell you more about it in a minute. And there are many Ranganatha Yatindras, the current pontiff, that's a term I don't like, as you know, but it's easy. The current pontiff of the Matha is also known as, his name is also Ranganatha Yatindra Mahadeshikan. But clearly this manuscript wasn't composed during his reign. So I just looked around 19th century, who could have existed. There is this Jiya, and these are his dates. So maybe, you know, the manuscript was composed during his reign or slightly after by a devotee of his. Similarly, you have this Mimamsa Paribhasha. So again, you have Shatakopa Yatindra Mahadeshikan. There are many Shatakopa Yatindras also, but this one seemed to fit for various reasons. I'm not going to take you through all the reasons, not in this case, because I'm going to do it for the next. But before that, let me introduce the AHOBILA Matha here. So this is a 15th century Matha founded by Adivan Shatakopan, and I'm mentioning this name because his name is found in the manuscripts, and Sanskritists who can read Grantha and who catalog the manuscripts are like, what is this thing? What does it? Okay, because this is Ban is Tamil. So Adi, they say it's okay. Let's not get into details. So Adivan Shatakopan is his name, the founder of the AHOBILA Matha, the first year of the AHOBILA Matha. And for those who know about the Sri Vaishnava Acharyas, he allegedly initiated Manavala Mamuni into Sannyasa Ashrama. I don't know if it's contested, maybe it's contested. Anyway, technically the Matha is based in Ahobilam, that's in Andhra Pradesh, but they have many branches in various cities and towns, especially in Chennai. And it's a very prominent Vadakalai Matha. And like the Parakala Matha that I spoke about a couple of months ago in one of the TST seminars. It's important because this probably, or not probably, definitely is why we find more works by Vedanta Deshika, for example. Okay, so this is the Acharya lineage. I won't get into the details because it is twofold. One is Samashrayana Parampara, so that's the Parampara of initiation, and this is Kalakshepa Parampara. Kalakshepam in this case is spending time, of course, and that means studying, so instruction lineage. Whichever way, at some point, it's the same people here. So this is where I go for the names. It's published in a book, but this is the easiest way to use. For example, this one colophon, okay, invocation, colophonish invocation, as I call this, of Vishayavakya Pradeep, sorry, it's just Deepika, gives a few names. As you can see is Adivan Shatapopa Yatindra Mahadeshikan. So that's the first one. So we don't think that it was composed during that time in the 15th century. But here you have these three people. So I checked these names. And for this person and this person, there were more than one bearing the same name. But for example, the Srinivasa Yatindra Mahadeshikan followed by a Ranganatha. So this fits with the next one because this is the 25th pontiff and this person is the 26th. And then maybe one of them is missing. And then this Ranganatha, even though there are three of them, you have the 28th. And I've also put their years of reign. And the one, because I was wondering why he skipped one person, the 27th. He only seemed to have lived, 2 years once he became the pontiff. And he was in northern India when he passed away. So there must be a reason why he wasn't mentioned. Okay, anyway, as I said, this sort of thing helps us roughly situate the manuscripts. Okay. Another colophon where we can have the exact date, including the evening of Monday, the 6th of June, 1842. Giovanni helped me figure this out, but I also started learning on my own how to use, and Marco. I started also learning how to use this Swami Karnapillai's work. So I also need to thank Torsten for telling me how to do it. So here you go. So you have this Varsham, 17th, I presume it's Kollam. Shubhakritamana Samvatsaram, Uttarayanamana, Vaishakha Masam, Krishna Pakshe, Trayodasi, Induvasaramahye, 26 Tedi, Bharani Nakshatram, Shubhayoga, Shubhakaranatir, Sayankalam, and then you have, please notice the Mani Prabhala, beautiful. Krishna Pakshe, even the ending is Sanskrit, but you have this Tedi and Ahya, etc. Okay, let's move to the next. So we can find dates easily, but it's harder to get, the owner so far. The scribe, this one has an information about the scribe. Srinivacharya Champu Swahastalikitam Puratase Masam Yuradi Muditadu Srinivasena Likitoyam. So we know that this work is another name for the Vedantacharya Vijaya. That's a hagiographic work. And it was composed by Kaushika Kavitarkika Simha. So we know that Srinivasa is definitely the name of the scribe, not the scribe author. But it's not clear what the provenance is. It's very, very difficult to know what the name of the person or the family to whom this collection belonged, which place they lived in. I'm still awaiting to get information of that kind. Okay, I need to go faster. But there are in the same collection some Tamil works which have different non-Sri Vaishnava colophons. This, for example, Kovilapuram, or it is Kokilapuram, it seems both names are used. It's in the Theni region in the south of Tamil Nadu. You can see Sellamuttasari, Puttira Kumaranana, Mahan Ayyanasari. So those are not Sri Vaishnava names. And here also the god that they ask for help is Ayyanarappan. So that's a Grama Devata. So of course there's a threat here. Whoever I guess takes this, Appadi Kodukamal Ponal Avanai Ayyanarappan, blah blah. Poduvar. So Ayyanarappan will do something to anybody who doesn't give the work back, presumably because there are words missing. So you have Ayyanarappan Thune as well. Okay, this is Nondi Nadagam. So I put a word on Facebook, and I think that Toast and Things that if there is no name, etc., if I should look into it, that this might be unpublished, but I haven't had the time to look into it. So it's about a thief who breaks his leg while trying to steal. That's the story. This is another manuscript, again in Tamil, Nadi Shastram. Again, the same person, Kokilapura Tirukkum Sillamutta Asari Mahan Ayyanachari. So that's the same person. But here again, it's not Sri Vaishnava. You have Devi Sahayam. So there's a mention of the goddess. And then Velundu Vinayillai. So that's a reference to Murugan. Kurumun that's the Guru Stuti, not the Acharya, but Guru. And then Ayyanarappan, this is interesting because we know exactly the Ayyanarappan of which city, Karunkattaankulam, which is close to Kokilapuram, etc. So that's the region. I don't know if this is unpublished. I don't know who will be interested in Nadi Shastram, but anyway, I don't think that this is the general affiliation for the whole collection, but we need to know more about the collection before I can say more. So what we know is that definitely there were Sri Vaishnava Acharyas, possibly Acharya Purusha, those are the lay Acharyas, or devotees or scholars affiliated with the Ahobila Matha. Definitely a Vadakalai affiliation, that's Ahobila Matham, but also because there are so many works by Vedanta Deshika, like the Rahasya. They must have lived in the 18th, 19th century, probably belongs to a whole family. But again, I need to know more about the people, the individuals who held these manuscripts. Clearly belongs to an erudite family. It means that it's not just the Vishittadvaitic material. We also find anything that a self-respecting erudite Brahmin would have known in those days, Vyakarana, Mimamsa, Nyaya, etc. So as I said, I'm still hoping to know more. The VP collection. Okay, I know that I'm speeding up. Sorry, I'm getting into the habit of speeding up all the time, but I hope it's clear to everybody. This is a very interesting manuscript. It's a Tamara Haradi. It's a dictionary. Okay, general invocation like Nam Mudalvan, God as the primary cause. But you also have Guru Ve Thunai. So that's the Guru. And then you have Siva Mayam. Okay, that's Shiva, but it also says Sri Ramanujaka Ishtam Sahayam. So it's the support of somebody who is desirable to, or the favorite of Ramanuja. I don't know who is the favorite of Ramanuja. I just hope that every single Sri Vaishnava is. So Vedanta Deshika, God knows who. Okay, this is a Padartham, Padapadartham, Peyara Haradi. So it's an Agaradi that gives 9, words. But it only has A to E, Iena. You can see some words here like Vitt, it's Vidai, etc. There is another colophon in this. The date is not helpful, but it was composed by somebody from Perumpakkam, which is close to Chennai. It's a suburb of Chennai nowadays. I don't know if it was in those days. Maybe it's 2 people, but I have a feeling it's just one. I think Manyar Sri Iyengar. Manyar is simply like respectable, Manya or something like that, Manya Sri. In that case, this would be his name, Sri Ranga Iyengar. So Ranga Iyengar is a Sri Vaishnava Brahmin. If there's any doubt, then there is another, no, not here, but we'll get there. That's definitely a Sri Vaishnava Brahmin. There's another I won't show you the margins a lot because you have the usual thing, the Pulyar Suri, Harihi Om, Shubhamastu, sometimes the name of the work. So here in this one, you have Sri Ramajayam, Perumpakkam, Paisari, Subadi. No idea what it means. I haven't had the time to check. But you also have these multiple faiths. Abhirami Tunai, you have Sivamayam, Hari Om, Guruve Tunai. So either it was a later scribe who copied it, or maybe it was the audience, intended audience was wider. There's a copy of the Sundarakanda here. This we can find that this belonged to another Sri Vaishnava Brahmin, Kuppusamy Iyengar from Virupuram. It was given to him by Muruga Pillai, who himself is an Upadhyaya, as you can see, from Ariyulu. That's another town. So this is a different caste, as you can see. It's not a Brahmin, but it is a scholarly person. The date he gives here is interesting because you have 1866, because the second colophon, not the first, gives an older date, 1746. So I wondered how this works. I asked Giovanni, was this first? We don't know, because I haven't had the time to look at it, because it's the same name, Kuppusamy Iyengar. I thought maybe it's the same Kuppusamy Iyengar, or maybe it's the grandfather and the grandson that bore the same name, or is it a wrong date that was given, or was it a copying error, or did they copy the date from the previous manuscript? I don't know yet. And then I was like, they're using the initial, Virupuram A Kuppusamy Iyengar. You will see his father's name, we will see his father's name, or the town name. And then I started looking into, the British practice of putting initials. The East India Company came to Chennai, Madras in 1639, still possible. So I don't know. So here it gives Akkadavalli, right? That's his town, his father's town, Akkadavalli Ayya Iyengar Kumaran. So you have this that becomes the initial of this person. But what we do know is Virupuram Perumal Kovil Archagam Vaikhanasa Kulatil Pirandavana here. It's funny because usually they give the Gotra, Kaushika Gotra, this Gotra, but here they give Vaikhanasa. As you know, there are two branches of, I think, Vaishnavas in South India, maybe even Sri Vaishnavas. You have the Pancharatrans and you have the Vaikhanasa people, and he calls himself Vaikhanasa. So he's an Archaka, he's a priest, and he's from the priest at the Vishnu temple in Virupuram. Anyway, it's close by, near Pondicherry. A couple more dates, 1883, 1841, still 19th century. And then I was going to show you some Chitrakavya and images, etc. As you know, Vedanta Deshika was very good at it. He could write poems that could fit into patterns. So this copy, magnificent copy of the Paduka Sahasram, has a few Chitrakavyas. I just made this. I mean, I'm not saying this corresponds to this, exactly, but this is from a printed book, as you can see, but I thought it might help you. As you can see, there's an arrow here. So this, they put letter, there's a way of reading it. I don't know much about this. And this, you have this pattern, and then this, you have this pattern. Don't ask me anything more. I'm just saying this is a Chitrakavya, and it's a wonderful specimen of a manuscript that we have here. Plenty more here. As you can see, they're very different Chitrakavyas. Some more here, you see Padukas, because it's the Paduka Sahasram, after all, they are Padukas, and these were started and given up. And these also have letters around. And then this is from a Tamil manuscript, Salapokku Mandiram. It's, I don't know, I have a feeling that some of it is folk religion or tantric even, because here, for example, I see Namah Shivaya in reverse written here. Mashivayana, for example. So I was like, oh, is it tantric? But I'm not going to say anything because I don't know much about this. So I might get the whole thing wrong. Okay, plenty more from where it came from. You have all these mantras to attract people, to get wealth and that sort of thing. Some more. This is a different Mandira Satiram. That's this manuscript. So I've reached the end. If you want to know more, I have my personal blog. It's not dedicated to the BL project, but it's to my research work. But I also update every month. So if you are interested, curious about the challenges, the solutions, anything fun or anything, all you need to do is just check my blog once in a while. Well, thank you very much.